What is going on, YouTube Nation and fantasy football owners everywhere? It is the Week 9 preview edition of the Fantasy Football Stock Report for your team, your league, your game, your home. You know where to go. Chris Pearson here with you, and I am joined once again by my co-owner, Nate Hedinger is here once again this week. Back in the house, back in action. We got our caffeine. We're all ready to go, even though you were yawning 15 minutes before the show. Actually, you really were yawning. I was yawning. You were nearly conked out. Sleeping. Nearly conked out. First things first, though, before a little disclaimer, before we really get into Week 9, I do want to apologize again in advance for the technical difficulty issues of Week 8, and I would not have known that were it not for this guy who watches the videos back.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah, sometimes. He
was in a weird-looking costume. I'm thinking Barney or something.
Spyro the Dragon.
And later he said it was Spyro from Skylanders.
Yeah.
Sorry for the plug.
Hey, I did it last week, even though no one could hear it. I found out though later looking into it, there was a new feature in YouTube for the Google Hangouts, which we use, which was control room for the live stream. Where in control room now you have to turn up the volume because by default it mutes you. So you have to then turn up the audio and make sure that it's up all the way. So I did a little test video after the Week 8.
Are you sure the volume is up?
It's up now. I did adjust it. See right here. You can look right here. See, it's up. So
the green bar.
Yeah, the green bar is up.
How did you not see that last week?
I know, because I told you, because it wasn't like that before. The first 7 weeks, it was never there.
No. How did you not see that square was?
No, I pulled up the square on the left-hand side.
Okay.
Normally, there's a grid here on the left-hand side as well.
Right.
But I clicked that. I experimented a little bit, and then I saw that, and I'm like, oh, the volume's muted. Or turned down. It wasn't muted. It was turned down.
And then you can pull up that window.
And you can pull up that window and then move the audio. So apparently that's a new feature that I did not know about. Because the first 7 weeks wasn't like that. Didn't have to adjust anything.
No.
So that was brand new. So I apologize again for that last week. I was a little disappointing because I love doing the Halloween episode and I love doing the dressing up and for that. And I might have to bring that back at some point. Later in the year.
Dress up as a turkey for November.
Something. But yeah. So there is a lot to break down though this week as well. For Week 9, it's kind of like almost a repeat of last week. Last week there was also 6 teams on a bye. That's the case again this week. But there's a lot more notable names you're not going to have. Now, in terms of our team, also to recap, we pulled out a win barely last week, but we did win by 10 points. So now we are at 500, 4-4, looking to make this second half push.
Oh, and before we go any further, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Number one, you see us drinking Mountain Dew or Coke. They don't pay us to promote. That's the kid behind the camera bit. They drink on camera.
Right.
I'm sorry. I know this is his YouTube, but for the people that like comedy and stuff and pranks, look up kid behind the camera. If you don't mind a little bit of coarse language, because they cuss a lot.
Yeah.
But we don't. We might do our little funny plugs, but we don't promote.
Right.
And number two, for everyone who watches this video and does the fantasy football for CBS Sportsline, which is what we use.
Yes.
To the sports writers and all those projectionist people, screw you.
The fantasy journalist, whoever that is,
fantasy journalist,
is so negative. So negative. Even when we win games, they can't find a positive thing to say. I'm
really having to control my language here because I know we've got people that.
Yes.
But yeah, they're mean.
You left Derek Carr and his 43 fantasy points on the bench last week. So what? We still won.
And some we didn't have a choice.
No, because Montgomery, that situation was screwed many owners over because the Packers said in the morning, on Sunday morning, that Montgomery was going to play. When the lineup's locked at 9:30, it said that Montgomery was active and was going to play. And then come an hour before game time, they declare him out.
After we couldn't
make the swap.
So, hey, CBS, make it 15 minutes before game time or something.
And then the article goes on to say, he started Ty Montgomery even though it was a guaranteed 0. Well, no, duh. I had no choice.
And that's why I said don't lock him out at 9:30, like 3 hours before the game starts?
Well, that's because of the London game. That's why. Because there was the London game that week.
So it's not always at 9:30?
No, it's not always at 9:30, but still, yeah. The bottom line is you should be able, after the London game, after the London game is over, you should be able to make adjustment for the 1 o'clock games.
Right.
But we couldn't, so we were screwed. So that I'm sure we were not alone in that regard because it was just so frustrating. So we were lucky to escape with it being 9 on 8.
Yeah, that was not a good thing.
No. But we did get the win. We're at 500 and hoping down the stretch to at least, again, we are in the toughest division, and that's lately how it kind of unfortunately has been over the past couple of years. We end up that way.
I was going to say, haven't we been in the
We usually have.
Forever, and we're a level 1 team.
We're a level 1 team, but the 2 teams that are ahead of us are that level 3 and the level 4 guys.
And how do you increase levels? You've been doing this for
I think this is 12 years. This is 12 years now. Yeah, this is 12th year. Yeah.
Something like that.
Or no, 11th year. 11th year. Yeah.
He's got all our fantasy teams on
this
back
wall of fame. Yep, a little
back
wall of
here.
Fame. Yep.
It's like, and for 11 years, you're still level 1. What's up with that?
I think it's based on, titles you win, which you've only won 2. I think it's based on, your record. It's based on, overtime playoff appearances. I think it's based on all that. But I think it's also based on how many fantasy games you play. Because you get points based on the other fantasy games you play. Since we do football only, I bet those other owners that are 3 and 4 also do. I'm sure they do basketball or baseball or what have you.
Why don't we do a fantasy basketball or something?
We could expand the horizon a little bit if we wanted to.
That might get us more subscribers.
We could, yeah. Don't know if we want to do a show for every one of them, but But
I watch a show called Kid Behind the Camera, as I referenced. They got like 2 million subscribers and millions and millions of people. And it's like, he asks the questions, like Twitter people.
Sure.
Ask the questions, did you think you were going to get as many subscribers? And they just film their lives. It's just their normal lives, supposedly.
Right.
And they film pranks on the family. They're a family YouTube channel. Oh, well, they're not family oriented, but it's a family that does it.
Sure.
They play pranks on the guy's dad, or the boyfriend plays the prank on the girlfriend, whatever. And they got millions of subscribers. So the YouTube, Twitter, someone, would you please tell us how to get more subscribers?
Right, yeah. And I not only, share it here, but I share that I'm doing the videos on Twitter, and I check off when I do the settings. I share the link on Twitter, right on my Twitter. So that way people know that, we're going live. So that it's out there. I'm definitely putting it out there. But now I just need to get the views back.
You haven't done the YouTube show for...
Not for every season, no. I think I started the YouTube show with, I want to say they're Indiana Bolts or Dominators. I want to say it was either 5 years ago or 6 years ago.
Yeah, but still, we've been doing it for 6 years, and we only have 14 subscribers?
29, I think.
29.
Over 4,000 views, which is really good. But yeah, at least near 30 subscribers. So
you got to get 2 million views before YouTube
something like that. Yeah.
Starts sending you money, and we don't do it for the money, folks.
No,
we just do it because we have fun, but we still like more subscribers because it is interesting. It is cool to do this.
Oh yeah,
and we do it for the love of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's evident when we have our third owner.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the fun is definitely there when he's here. We're passionate about the game just as much as you guys are, and we want to succeed just as much as you guys do. So, So as I say every year, even on draft night, and our draft shows. Did you see the number of views our draft show got this year? 43.
Nice
for our draft show. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first time we ever did a draft show live. So
live, yeah.
Yeah,
We've
so I think we
recorded
need,
and
I think we need to keep doing that going forward because that was certainly popular.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, but we want to help you guys succeed, and we're going to try to do that again this week. But there are 6 teams on a bye, and they're notable teams. New England's on a bye this week. Cincinnati, Houston, Washington's on a bye. Chicago and Arizona, and a couple of those teams are really, really good. But there's a lot of big names you're not going to have. You don't have Tom Brady this week, or Andy Dalton, Brock Osweiler, Kirk Cousins, or Carson Palmer. So you're not going to have a couple big name quarterbacks. You're not going to have a lot of big name running backs like Garrett Blunt, James White, the tandem in Cincinnati of Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill. Not going to have them. Lamar Miller, we're not going to have him this week on our team. Same with Rob Kelly in Washington, Jordan Howard of Chicago, and David Johnson from Arizona. A lot of wide receivers you're missing. Julian Edelman, A.J. Green, DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller in Houston, Deshaun Jackson in Washington, along with Jamison Crowder. And no Alshon Jeffrey for the Bears, or Cameron Meredith and Larry Fitzgerald, so who we have on our team. So not going to have him this week. Yeah,
that worries me because he's been our
stud for most of the year. Yeah. So, and then tight ends, you're not going to have Rob Gronkowski or Martellus Bennett in New England, or Tyler Eifert, who had a big first game back from his injury last week. Eifert's still in Cincinnati.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but he was out for most of the year. He just came back last week.
Okay.
He had his first game back last week and went off. So. OFF off. Yeah, so he's clearly healthy.
Right. Okay.
CJ Fedorowicz in Houston. We're not going to have him on our team this week, but we do have Brake from Tampa Bay, who we have tonight. So that's huge. Jordan Reed in Washington and Zach Miller in Chicago. So a lot of notable names that are missing this week. So hopefully, and there's also, again, a lot of injuries out there as well to follow. But hopefully with these matchups, we're going to really track the stars and a couple names that you're really not going to have. There's also some tough matchups for a lot of guys this week that are going to struggle. So, but we will start with tonight's game, and I feel that tonight's game is a fantasy jackpot. I think a lot of points are going to be scored in this game because it's Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Normally when these two get together in the NFC South, it is usually a high-scoring game. The Falcons' defense can be scored upon a lot. And Tampa Bay playing at home is a real benefit for them.
By the way, did you check and see if our opponent has anybody, or is it just?
I don't think. I think it's just us tonight. I don't think he does.
Okay.
Because what I say, no, Rogers is Sunday. West is Sunday. Murray's Sunday. Let's see what I say. Jeffrey. I don't think he has anybody tonight. I don't think he does. So I think it's just us tonight. So we're going to be 2 players up after tonight.
And hopefully that's
a good start.
Number of points to get us.
Well, yeah, because we've got Winston and we've got Brady. So we have the quarterback and the tight end. So So hopefully that's a big benefit. But yeah,
matchup than Carr, I'm guessing.
Carr plays Denver, dude. That's a horrible matchup. I know a lot of people want to start Carr coming off that 43-point week, but it's Denver. Even though Oakland is at home, it's still Denver, and that secondary is still brutal.
Their run defense is kind of subpar.
Oh, yeah.
But their pass defense just kills.
Akeem Talib and Chris Harris. You can't forget about Harris either. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, Talib on his own is lethal, but you can't forget about Harris. So I worry about Carr this week, and I'll mention that when we get to that game. But I don't like it either way. So that's why I'm better with Winston, I think, for us.
And he's not been doing too bad.
No, and actually in week 1 this year against Atlanta, Winston had 25 fantasy points. Okay. I think he had 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers.
Right.
So I hope we can repeat that this week. So speaking of, that's why I like Winston as a start. Your obvious starts in this game, obviously for the Falcons, are your big 3 guys as always. Matt Ryan at quarterback, Devontae Freeman at running back, and Julio Jones at wide receiver. Those are your obvious guys. Especially with Freeman, with Tevin Coleman out with the hamstring issue. Freeman's going to be a rock-solid RB1. For the Bucs, it's Mike Evans, their top wide receiver. And I think, again, I mentioned Bray at tight end. I think he's getting targets with Vincent Jackson being out as well at wide receiver. Bray is getting a lot more work, especially in the red zone. So that's why I think he's a good play tonight as well. So I mentioned Winston and those 25 fantasy points, solid low-end QB1, and certainly also, again, a great bye-week filler if by chance he's out there in your league. So you can start him with confidence. For the running backs for the Bucks, Doug Martin is still out with the hamstring issue, and Jacquizz Rodgers is out with a foot problem.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that Anton Smith will step in as the lead back, and he'll lead the backfield. Peyton Barber and Mike James will probably take on third down roles in there. Smith is more of a low end, I think, an RB2 play for you. Barber more of an RB3 or a flex, and James is more like a dart throw RB4 if he gets work in the red zone. So, but Smith, I think, is going to be the safer play out of that backfield. And I'm going to say Mohamed Sanu, the Falcons' second wide receiver, is also a very good play. He's at least a wide receiver 3. He is very touchdown dependent, though, so it comes with some risk. But I think he'll find enough targets tonight to be relevant. You're looking at something is.
Yeah. We mentioned that Carr is playing Denver for.
Yes.
And I was just looking at the screen. We got the TV,
of course, on NFL Network
for the Thursday night game, and they just had a caption that said "Car Trouble," CRR, and they just covered that. I'm guessing that Carr is going to have a sucky game playing against Denver. So it's funny that you mentioned it, and then I happened to
see them
glance out of the corner of my eye, and
it
says "Car Troubles." I'm like, it might be a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So. But I like Sanu. I mean, yes, Julio Jones is going to get a lot of the targets. We know that. He's Matt Ryan's most reliable weapon.
Mm-hmm.
But Sanu, I think, is starting to get more targets, so at least is a wide receiver 3. The only real person that you can really sit in this game is the second wide receiver for the Bucks. That's Adam Humphries. I don't really think he's getting enough targets really to be relevant, not even as a 3. Very, very risky play. But a lot of these guys you can start. I think you're going to get a lot of your guys going to get a lot of fantasy points in this matchup. So I think this is going to be, I think for once, this is going to be a Thursday night game that doesn't suck. We really hope. I mean, usually Thursday night games, they suck. But
either they're a huge blowout,
either a huge blowout or a snooze fest, a low-scoring game. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or as long as it's not a 6-6 tie, like what happened with Seattle and Arizona.
Yeah,
have you realized that this year we've had 2 games ending ties?
2 games ending ties, yeah.
Yeah, I mean 6-6 there, and then last week in London, the 27-27 with Washington and Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable, but it can happen. It can happen.
Yeah.
All right, so now moving on to the Sunday games. Go ahead.
Whack out the playoff.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's one of the tiebreakers, isn't it? One of the 7.
Well, yeah, no, exactly, yeah, because a team with a tie is going to have a better record technically than a team that's below them by a little bit. So yeah, if that's the case, yeah, if a team gets in with a tie, that's going to be better for them.
Oh.
All right, so moving on now to the 1:00 games on Sunday, and we're going to start it off with, to me, is the game of the week, WEAK. Lions at the Vikings. This one could be ugly because...
Exactly how do you call the Vikings weak?
Number 1, they've lost the last 2 games.
Oh, okay.
Number 2, they've only scored 10 points in those last 2 games.
Oh.
Number 3, their offensive coordinator, Norv Turner, just resigned.
Why?
Doesn't say. He just said it would be best for him to step down. Everyone was stunned. Zimmer was stunned, the head coach. Bradford was stunned. I mean, the media was stunned. Everybody was stunned that Turner resigned.
Well, it might be some family issue or something in his private life. No criminal, nothing like that.
No, and Norv Turner is very respected in the coaching circle. And
well, then that makes me think it's a health issue or a family emergency issue or something.
Right, and hopefully that's the case. Hopefully it's not tied to the fact the team struggled over the last 2 games. I mean, I would hope not. I mean,
like you said, he's respected. He's well known.
Sure.
So you have 2 bad weeks. That's not enough to make someone resign unexpectedly.
True.
I don't think.
True.
I mean, then there was no talk of him resigning because, I don't watch as much as he does, but I still follow it enough.
Mm-hmm. But you got to admit, losing to Chicago on Monday Night Football was pretty stunning last week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that just stunned the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see going forward what the Vikings look like now with Pat Shurmur as their offensive coordinator. But here's the thing, I guess it's good. Shurmur has worked with Bradford in the past. He was the offensive coordinator of the Rams when Bradford was drafted.
Yes.
Okay. So hopefully there's still that connection there.
Pick up right where you left off.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that's the case for Minnesota.
Wasn't Bradford there for like 2 or 3 years?
He was there for a couple years, and then he got traded to Philadelphia. And then he was an Eagle for a couple seasons till now he's in Minnesota.
Man, I would hate to be a professional athlete. You don't know how long you're going to be.
Oh, I know, right?
Or in the case of Gore, was it?
Yeah.
Wakes up a Bengal at 6.
No. He woke up a Niner and then was a Colt.
He woke up a Niner at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then about like 3 o'clock that afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, you're a Colt. Get the hell out of here.
Or the big trade that happened a couple days ago with the Patriots trading their best linebacker, Jamie Collins, to the Browns. Yeah. Can you imagine that? You go from a Super Bowl contender to the 0-8 Cleveland Browns.
I wonder why. Because
here's what I heard in the media, and this could be true or not, but
we don't know yet. Yeah. So don't take this as
gospel. The Patriots said that he wanted Von Miller money, and you know the contract that Von Miller got, like the most, like the highest paid defensive end in the NFL.
Okay.
So they said Collins wanted Von Miller money. Collins has said no, I never said that. So we don't know who's telling the truth.
Well,
but
if the Browns can afford to pay him what he wants,
yeah.
But hey, I'll say, hey, idiot, don't play it just for money, dude.
Right.
Just like we don't do the YouTube show for money or for fame or whatever.
Right.
Do it for the love of the stinking game.
Sure. But he has gone on record and said, now that I'm here in Cleveland, I'm going to do my job in Cleveland. I'm going to try to do the best I can, and I'm here in Cleveland, and just go for it.
0-8 obviously means their defense needs help.
Oh, absolutely.
Needs help.
Absolutely.
So if he's got the attitude that, New England's not paying me money, so I'm going to go somewhere else, that sucks.
It's a great move for Cleveland.
But if he's got the attitude, I'm a good defender, I know it, and I can help these guys.
But it also shows me that players in New England are expendable. I mean, they really are. I mean, I saw a graphic like on Twitter or something that like since Belichick became the head coach, he's like either traded away or gotten rid of like 13 players, and some of them were big names like Randy Moss and and now Collins.
Like the Colts have done for the last whatever years. They win the Super Bowl, then trade off their offensive line.
Oh yeah,
and now we're suffering for
true.
It's a ripple effect.
Right,
we've suffered all year. Ryan Gregson, Jim Irsay, if you're seeing this, you're probably not, but hey, send a Twitter link. Hey Dubers.
Dillies.
Yeah. Dillies is our new name. By the way, we went to the restaurant. See, here's a duh moment. We went to a restaurant in his hometown.
Right.
But and I got the meal because this kid's my best friend. He's probably spent close to $1 million on me in 22 years.
A little over exaggerated, but yeah.
Well, I don't know. We never keep track.
No, we don't keep track, but
it's thousands and thousands of dollars.
I would say, yeah.
We go to the Pacer games during basketball seasons.
Comet games.
He's taking me to Florida.
Yeah.
Taking me to all this. So I go to pay for the meal that we got, and I take my debit card out and put it under the receipts. I forgot that the debit card was under the receipts, so I'm fumbling through my wallet.
I see that, and I'm like,
frantically,
something,
because I thought I left my debit card.
So I see him thumbing through, and I'm like, okay, I better say something under the receipts, dude.
My heart was beating out of my chest. So
he goes, "You could have said something sooner, Dilly."
Yeah. So we've been on that.
What am I, a bar at Dairy Queen?
Again, we don't promote.
Right.
Like we can say it. But
right.
Just for y'all people,
yeah, right.
They don't pay us to reference some
right.
Mountain Dew and Coke doesn't pay us to reference the stuff.
I'm drinking a wild cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you get it.
Or like that was Kid Behind the Camera pours a Dr. Pepper in a Coca-Cola cup.
Yeah, that was the joke.
They don't pay us.
Right. But
we just like it.
Exactly. We do. But yeah, there's really not a whole lot of guys I like in this matchup. because of it's going to be tough for Detroit to manage against that's very tough Minnesota defense, the number one defense in the NFL.
Right.
So it's going to be very tough. So I do still like a couple of the Vikings. The running back Matt Asiata looks like he's going to get to start again this week. Jarrett McKinnon will likely still be out with that ankle injury, so Asiata will get the start.
I forget what you said. Is it at Detroit?
It's at Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to anybody in Minnesota. If we get anybody in Minnesota viewing this, beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Stadium.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah,
so
it is. Yeah.
Props to y'all.
Oh, absolutely.
That stadium is just
it's beautiful.
sick.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, it is.
I like Ford Field too.
Oh yeah, Ford Field in Detroit's good, nice too. Yeah, they're both nice facilities.
Yeah,
they're both nice facilities. But I like Asiata. Stephon Diggs, of course, their top wide receiver. You want to keep rolling with him. And Kyle Rudolph, their tight end, which is, again, one of the more top tight ends in the NFL. But everyone else, I think, is a risky sit. Bradford, I don't know. I mean, for me, he's a tough sell this week because the Lions do actually have a decent defensive unit. And, of course, they're starting with the brand-new offensive coordinator. So a little bit risky play for me this week. Maybe a number 2 if you're just hurting at quarterback or desperate, but kind of a risky play.
Good for them getting better as the years.
Oh yeah.
A few years ago they were 0-16, but now they're
4-4. Yeah, Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah, they're okay. So Detroit, they've bounced back quick.
Yeah.
Stafford normally is a pretty solid QB1, but not against the top defense and corners in the league. Theo Riddick, the running back, even if he's active, I don't trust him against the defense. I mentioned McKinnon out with the ankle likely, and of course the wide receivers. Hi, Marvin Jones. You've had a great fantasy year so far, but meet Xavier Rhodes. He's going to be on your back all day. He's going to be covering you, like, as you say, stank on stink or something like that.
Stank on.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you're going to get used to seeing Xavier Rhodes. Hi, Golden Tate. Meet Harrison Smith. Okay, they're going to be on you all day. So,
or like flies on manure.
Exactly. You just cannot trust really the Lions skill players this week. Not in this matchup. So,
no.
That one is pretty simple. Start your Vikings and sit your Lions. Eagles at the Giants.
Lovely.
NFC East rivalry. Yes.
They're doing a lot of rivalry.
They are. Yes, they are.
When you get a lot
6
of teams
on bye, it kind of leads to that. Yeah. But
I've noticed that.
This is huge. A battle of 4 and 3 teams. The winner likely moves into second place in the NFC East behind Dallas. So this is a big game for a lot of reasons.
That's something I never thought we'd hear behind Dallas.
Behind Dallas, yeah, dude. The Cowboys, they're for real, dude. I mean, 6-1. Who would have thunk? With Dak
Prescott.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones.
Yeah, not Tony Romo. Dude.
Jerry Jones, the old senile old hag.
When Tony comes back, he is our quarterback.
Get
Dilly!
Yeah, and the media is just raking him over the coals.
Oh yeah,
saying go with your hot hands, stupid.
Why would you get rid of
He's
that?
old. He's old and stupid.
Yeah. And Tony Romo is fragile as glass. I mean, really. I mean, how many injuries he had over the years, different parts of his body?
Yeah.
I mean, knee, collarbone, twice.
Back.
Continuously back. I mean, good grief.
And although we never want to see a player get hurt, and we feel bad when a player gets hurt, still, you make the joke with Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be funny if the first game, the first play, he gets hurt again? Just as a joke, like.
I think I said on either I said on Twitter or on here on draft night. I said if parentheses when Tony Romo gets hurt, Dallas's offense is going to be fine with Dak Prescott because I watched Dak play in the preseason and he killed it.
So why isn't he the starter?
Why are they not committed? Exactly. Why are they not committed to Dak? I don't.
Hey Romo, I love you. You're cool. And
Romo's been a great player for us over the years.
But it's like time to hang it up, dude.
Yeah. Cede Dak the floor. Here's the floor, Dak. Here's your microphone. It's yours now. The stage is yours.
Granted, we know he's a rookie and it took him a little.
You don't play like one.
Well, it took him a couple weeks to make that transition from college to the NFL, and that has been a killer for us over the years. We've drafted good rookies out of college that have absolutely killed it in college, and they kill us in a bad way in the professional.
Oh gosh, where do we start? Melvin Gordon, Monty Ball, Nelson Aguilar,
Ryan Leaf. He wasn't on our fantasy team, but he was another college stud,
Tim
NFL
Couch.
bust.
Jamarcus Russell.
All right, Jamarcus Russell.
Jamarcus Fat Ass.
Hey.
I know. Sorry. But you get the picture. You get the point. I know. You get the point. You get the point.
But yeah, just because they're a stud in college does not mean they're going to make the transition to the NFL. And if you are NFL fans, I would recommend, like, you watch the Hard Knocks series.
Yes.
If you have HBO, because they reference that a lot when they do the
prime example. Jared Goff with the LA Rams,
right?
You know,
in practice and in drills, I watch the LA Rams Hard Knocks. He's okay, he's good, but
clearly not NFL ready to be a starter, right? And so that's why Case Keenum has the job.
Yes.
Yeah. So
he's just barely on that cusp of breaking through, just this close, but he's not ready. He's going to be good. Yeah. Under the tutelage of Case Keenum, if he sits and watches and gets tutored by Keenum, I think. Right. By the way, Case Keenum doing a lot better in L.A. now. L.A.
Yeah, Rams.
Than he did in Texas.
Houston. Yeah. And again, speaking of the Eagles and speaking of rookie quarterbacks, you look at Carson Wentz. He was really good the first 4 weeks. Past couple weeks, kind of hit that rookie wall, and he struggled a bit. So,
well, you got to look at the teams he's playing too.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah. But while Dak has continued his success, Wentz has kind of trailed off a bit. But in terms of this Eagles-Giants matchup,
they say God smiles on Texas.
That is true. In terms of
which is why they left a hole in the roof so God could watch his team.
That's what they said.
They said that when they built the new stadium, and that's why they've usually had holes in the roofs and retractable roofs, because the Cowboys in the 90s was God's team, so God must smile on Texas.
Right.
Joke.
Right. Yeah. But there's only a couple obvious guys in this game that I like because, again, also both these defenses with the pass rush traditionally are very strong. So I think the pressure is going to be intense on a lot of these guys, but only a couple guys. For the Eagles, Jordan Matthews, the top wide receiver, is still going to get a lot of work. And also Darren Sproles. This is an interesting name, and I'll tell you this. I also picked him up to start this week because here's the thing. Ryan Matthews maybe was the starter, but he's starting to really lose a lot of work. Sproles is out-touching him. He's getting a lot more touches. He's a lot more time on the field than Matthews is.
On to Dallas yet?
We're up here.
Talk about.
I know because NFC East. I know.
Oh yeah.
That's why. That's where that came from. You were kind of lost there, weren't you?
Yeah, I'm like looking at his paper.
Yeah, Dallas didn't even tell an evening game.
He does printouts and
they've seen my pregame notes.
Yeah. But I'm like, we're talking a lot in Texas.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not there yet.
Did they play or they won?
Dallas plays at Cleveland, which will probably be the blowout game of the week. Well, I have it there too, but I think it's also over here. So up there up top. So it'll be one of the next few games we talk about. But Darren Sproles, he's getting more touches. He's getting a lot more workload. He's on the field more than Matthews, and he's hinted that he's going to be the starter over Matthews. So I think he's a really good RB2 going forward. If that trend continues, and I think it's probably going to. Plus, Sproles is also a third down guy. He's like he's one of those lightning in a bottle fast guys like we lost with Woodhead. So
that's unfortunate.
It was.
How's he doing?
As far as I know, he's going to be okay for next year.
What was it?
ACL. Yeah. No, same injury that derailed Allen in San Diego again too.
Right.
So they've been hit hard with that this year. And now both their receivers have knee injuries too that they're dealing with. Not anything major.
And he's recovering.
He's recovering. Yeah, he's recovering and rehabbing. Yep.
Yeah.
So, but we're hoping that Sproles will come through. So those really, and of course with the Giants, Odell Beckham. As long as he plays, as long as he keeps going strong, he's playing. Keep going with him as well. The sits, though, I mentioned Wentz. It's just the reality is kind of starting to set in, and the Giants' pass rush is very strong. You'll hope he gets the mojo back at some point, but I don't see it happening on the road this week against a tough team like the Giants. I mentioned Ryan Matthews.
Right here.
Yeah,
they're doing a thing on
ways to win.
Ways to win. For the Falcons, pressure Jameis Winston
in the high throws and mistakes.
High throws and mistakes.
I hope that doesn't happen for us, but because we have.
But that is a valid point on how he might struggle here.
That is a valid point. Sure.
This week.
Yep.
Exploit mismatch
of big wide receivers versus small cornerbacks. And Tampa's secondary is not that great, which is why the Falcons receivers are going to have a good day. So. For the Giants, outside of Beckham, I don't like any of their skill guys. Same with Eli. He's struggled the past couple weeks, and that gets that dangerous Eagles pass rush. I don't like his matchup.
He's really always struggled in his career.
He has.
Save
for the postseason. Yeah.
Save the 2 years they made it to the Super Bowl, 1-1, or did they win them both?
No, they beat the Patriots both times, remember?
Okay,
yeah. So
because it was like
a couple years apart.
But
yeah.
Save the postseason. Eli stinks.
Which is why we got rid of him a long time ago.
So that don't come back.
Right. And then the running backs, Rashad Jennings, he just doesn't get any better. He just continually struggles. I don't like him. Now Paul Perkins is a name that you might want to maybe scout going forward.
Like Gore.
Yeah. Well, at least Gore puts up double-digit fantasy points. Jennings can do that now. Because he's a receiver now. He can score receiving touchdowns every once in a while.
Where you been for the past couple of years?
Exactly. Team insiders say that Perkins' role is going to increase going forward. But until we know for sure, you don't want to put him in lineups just yet.
Mm-hmm.
You can really only trust him as kind of a risky, what the heck, kind of RB3 or flex play if you're desperate. See what happens with those touches if they do increase. But other than that, don't like him yet. All right, another division rivalry here. AFC East showdown. The Jets at the Dolphins. I called the Miami Dolphins the Dolphins because they're kind of embarrassing on offense. 3-5 against 3-4. This is pretty much the game to stay out of the cellar of the AFC East because Buffalo's in second behind New England. So this is kind of the game to stay out of the cellar. Couple names that are like in this matchup.
Obvious Jets.
Yeah, for the Jets, Matt Forte. Now he is questionable with a knee issue. He was limited in practice yesterday, but as long as he plays, I think he's still a decent start. So we want to keep going with him. And Brandon Marshall, the wide receiver, the top option there as well. For Miami, Jay Ajayi.
I get it now. LOL.
Yeah, lol fins. Yeah.
LOL fins.
Yeah, lol fins instead of dolphins.
I thought it was a lull, like
LOL, laughing out loud.
Yes.
Yeah, because sometimes their offense is very ugly.
Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number 1.
Not. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not right now. But their running back, although Jay Ajayi has shown that he's done pretty well. Again, I mentioned on the last time that he's in some pretty elite company, that he is only the 4th running back ever to have back-to-back 200-yard games. Only the 4th. And I think Ricky Williams in that group, O.J. Simpson is in that group. That's pretty elite company. So you keep going with him and the 2 receivers, Devontae Parker and Jarvis Landry. But Jarvis Landry, more or less, I think only in PPR leagues because that's where you get points per reception, and he gets more targets than anything than actual yardage. So I think those are decent plays. I think this is one of those rare times, though, I think you can get away with playing Ryan Tannehill. Normally, he is a big risk.
Fumble.
That wasn't Tannehill. That was Sanchez. That was the Jet. That was Sanchez. But wrong team. But
Fanny Hill.
Fanny.
He ends up on his
Fanny. That's good. That's good. Fanny Hill or Fanny Fail.
Yeah.
But, this week, I think though he's on the very low end of the QB2 spectrum, like one of the last-ditch options if you're really desperate. If you can't find any better options out there, the Jets' defense isn't as strong as it once was. It is more forgiving than usual. So he still comes with that risk because of his inconsistency. Only use him if you're desperate, and there are really no better options out there on your waiver wire. So that's where I see him. But as for the sits, Ryan Fitzpatrick, yes, he may be playing PO'd. He may be playing that way because of the fact of the whole thing where he said in the media that the GM and the team gave up on him. He may be playing that way because of that. But Miami also has a very tough pass rush. And so because of that, not even on the QB2 radar this week. And Miami actually is one of the better units out there right now. In fact, if you need help for the rest of the season at defense, grab the Dolphins now because they have the number one easiest schedule the rest of the way. Ding, 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 hint, hint, hint. I just did that for us.
Right.
So
nice.
they have the number one schedule the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need help and they're available on waivers, get them now because they're going to take advantage of a lot of easy matchups going forward.
Boy, that's a beautiful trophy.
Yeah.
By the way, switching for a minute
Of course,
to
you have
baseball,
to bring that up to see that.
they just showed the Cubs winning the World Series after 108 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for all you Chicago Cubs fans, good job. For the Sox fans,
Yeah. Congrats to the fan base. I never said I didn't like the fan base. Does it hurt? Yeah, but I never said I wasn't happy for the fan base.
I'll convert you yet.
Whatever. I was forced to go to a game against my will. I didn't like it.
Just like they converted me into a brony.
But
My Little Pony fan.
Yes. Yeah.
Plug.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Yeah. Shameless plug. Shameless plug. All my stuff. Oh, these little figures that Matt and Erica keep giving me. There you got Twilight Sparkle and there's good old Discord. Yeah.
Don't even look right.
Yeah, they're kind of. Twilight looks PO'd there, doesn't she?
Yeah, that doesn't even look right. Holy cow. Don't you hate to wake up to that staring in the morning?
I will sing my magic on you. And then this is I think this is, that's rarity. That's a little rubber rarity.
Yeah.
And that's another rarity. And I had one of Fluttershy, I thought. Oh, yeah, there we go. There's Fluttershy.
Now, she looks...
Yeah, see, she looks cute.
Yeah.
So
she looks normal.
Shameless pony plugs. People they're watching that now. Are they coming in there, jeans over pony? No, just
nasty. That's nasty.
Ew. But they're okay. Shameless plug.
Watch the course line.
Yeah, I know. So Fitzpatrick, I don't like him, and then he's just too inconsistent. He's trying to become the number 2 receiver, and that's all well and good, but he only had a couple catches last week. Yes, one was like a 40-some yard touchdown, but you can't. It's kind of hit and miss. It's kind of boom or bust. You can't really rely on that consistent if you're not too consistent going forward. So
10 points right there.
Well, yeah, but are you going to get that every single week? That's really the thing. So that's the thing with that. So interesting division matchup there. A couple to like, a couple not to like. I have this as question mark blowout of the week because it very well could be the Jacksonville Joke Wars. Another pun on the word, Joke Wars, because they're a joke at 2-5. Joke Wars, yeah. Jacksonville, is it a Jaguars? Against the 5-2 Chiefs. I've said it on here, and I still don't know how. How is Gus Bradley still Jacksonville's coach when they played one of the worst first halves in football I've ever seen on Thursday night last week when they were down 27-0 to Tennessee at half? And the owner was at the game in Tennessee watching that.
Lovely.
Yeah. How is he still the coach?
Wonderful.
by Monday. How is he still the coach of that team?
I don't know.
I don't understand. And even though Jacksonville made it manageable late, 36-22, at least you didn't give up. But I don't know how Bradley remains the coach if Jacksonville keeps playing this terribly. I don't know how. And now you're playing Kansas City, a team with talent up the wazoo. And even though you're not going to have Alex Smith this week because he's concussed, you're not going to have Spencer Ware because he's concussed. You still got Nick Foles at quarterback. You still got Charkandrick West, who's shown that he can handle a starter's workload. And, oh, by the way, you still got Jeremy Maclin and Travis Kelce. And, oh, by the way, a really good Chiefs defense. So I don't know how Jacksonville is going to contend in this game, hence why I have a question mark. I think there's probably one on here that maybe I have worse. I don't know. Or maybe, no, that's the only one I have. Well, Cowboys-Browns could end up being worse. But this certainly could be the blowout of the week because it's at Kansas City. Tough to win at Arrowhead because that stadium is loud. It gets loud. It's right up there with Seattle as one of the loudest. They keep trading the decibel level record every single week, it seems like.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, they keep, out yelling and screaming one another. So –
well, they also prep the crowd, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's normal. So there's certainly a couple guys that I do like in this game and a couple I don't. For Jacksonville, again, I've said on here, the only one you can really trust is Allen Robinson. He's the top wide receiver there. He's really the only obvious guy you can trust. For the Chiefs, it's I mentioned the two, Jeremy Maclin at wide receiver and Travis Kelce at tight end, one of those elite 4 tight ends. I think you got to keep going with those two guys. But I think, again, because of the good matchup, you can pick up and start Nick Foles at quarterback. Alex Smith, he may or may not have a concussion. I think he does because the way his head bounced off the turf at Lucas Oil Stadium last week, I think it was pretty obvious how woozy he was after that hit. A player's literally held him up off the ground. He's going,
How do they get concussions still with all that helmets in the padding?
I don't know.
I know the turf is rough.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But,
right.
And the team's switching to that soft, fake grass turf rather than the
synthetic,
artificial
synthetic. Yeah. But here's the thing that was even more crazy. They took Smith to the locker room, so Foles was then playing. Took Smith to the locker room. Then comes back. The team says he cleared the concussion protocol. But then he comes back, takes a second hit in the game, same game. Then they rule him out with a concussion. But then they come back and later say, oh, no, he didn't have a concussion. And then they finally say, yeah, he does. So it's like, okay, does he or doesn't he? And then they rule him out already this week. We still don't know whether he has a concussion. So it's like, I think he does. I'm just going to say.
It's like, yes, no.
Yes, no. Maybe so. I don't know, I think he does. So that's why I think he's not playing. So, he's ruled out anyway. If you have issues with quarterback this week, pick up Foles. He will look like a QB1 against this terrible Jacksonville defense who can be easily scored upon. And I mentioned the Chiefs running back. And now it's looking more and more like Charkandrick West is going to be the guy this week because Spencer Ware, who also got a concussion in that same game, it looks like he will miss the game. He has not been practicing this week, but he hasn't been really officially ruled out yet. So just monitor the injury reports, monitor the statuses, and the inactive report before the game. Whoever starts will be a low-end RB1 because of the good matchup. But for the sits, Blake Bortles against the Chiefs, you got to be joking, right? I mean, really, you're really thinking of starting Blake Bortles. Don't do that because the Chiefs' defense is strong. The secondary is strong. You're not going to do that. Same with the running backs. Really, T.J. Yeldon and Chris Ivory have really not broken out as a running backs with high value. So I don't think you could even own them at this point. They're just not putting up consistent fantasy numbers. I mentioned Spencer Ware because, again, likely out, but just monitor that to make sure. And Tyreek Hill at wide receiver, where the heck did this guy come from? Who the hell is Tyreek Hill, and where did he come from?
I like that play on that.
I mean, really, where did he come from? He's done well the past few weeks, but he's come out of nowhere. So until I see more consistency from him and getting more targets in the offense, right now he's just a blip on the radar and more of a risky wide receiver 4. So Very, very risky until we see more consistency from him. All right, let's talk about the 6-1 Cowboys at the 0-8 Browns. Like I said, this is probably again really could be the blowout of the week, depending on if Cleveland's going to be competitive. I mean, yes, Cleveland has been competitive in some games this year. There have been a couple close losses, but the facts are the facts. They still have a win this year, and I don't know if it's going to come against Dallas, considering how good Dallas has been. So, there's really, for this matchup, really, there's only really a few Browns that I like. The main guys of Dallas are playing in this game. Of course, Dak Prescott at quarterback, Ezekiel Elliott at running back, who has been the real deal also as a rookie, as I've mentioned on here countless times. Dez Bryant is back to full health. He's back to being his normal wide receiver one self, so you keep putting him in. But also Cole Beasley still has strong value as a wide receiver 3, but also more value in PPR leagues as well because, again, those receptions count for points. So the more targets Beasley gets and works with them, you also get points for that. So keep rolling with him as well. Really, there's only a couple Browns that I really like in this matchup. Of course, Isaiah Crowell at running back. He's got the duties on that for the whole season, so you keep rolling with him. And Terrell Pryor, if he plays, he is listed as questionable with a hamstring issue, but he is pretty much one of the Browns' biggest playmakers. So as long as he is active, Terrell Pryor is still a decent play. But as for the other Browns, you're sitting most of these guys, and it's so frustrating because the Browns are going back to Cody Kessler at quarterback, and I don't understand why. Because I think Josh McCown, who played last week, is better for the offense. I think he's better suited for the offense, and I think he makes better use of the Browns' skill players than Kessler does. But it seems like this week they're going to go back to Kessler. It's like, who is the Browns organization run by? I mean, Mickey Mouse. I mean, really? I mean, it's like, I like Cody. Let's put him back in. It's like, oh boy, Cody Kessler. Let's hit him up as a quarterback. You can't trust him. You can't trust him for fantasy purposes.
I do. Oh boy, they ought to hear you.
Yeah, right. The whole offense just gets downgraded me with Kessler under center. Just not going to use him. Corey Coleman, it looks like he might come back, but it'll be his first game back since being out with that broken hand for several weeks. So broken hand. In practice, no less. So let's see how he performs first before we trust him again. Plus, again, with Kessler at quarterback. And Gary Barnidge at tight end. Gary Barnidge really is only productive with McCown as his quarterback, and he's shown that. So look elsewhere if you're needing help at tight end.
Cool looking jerseys for the Bucks this year.
Well, these are Color Rush. They're doing the Color Rush on Thursday nights this year. Okay, Color Rush is where they go full color. Okay, so the Bucks are in full red. The Falcons are in full white.
Okay.
So they're doing one color, like last week with the Jaguars and the Titans. The Jaguars were in that ugly mustard gold color, and the Titans were in that light, like Carolina blue color.
Okay.
So that's what Color Rush means. Every Thursday night game has been Color Rush, full monocolor. So the Bucks are in full red, and the Falcons are full white tonight. So
how can you see full when the numbers are green?
Well, the numbers, they won't count the numbers, but I mean the outer part of the uniform will be full one color. That's what I mean. Yeah. Okay. So like pants, jersey, everything is full one color. That's what that means.
I got you.
But no, they are nice. I will admit. I agree with you. Yeah. They are pretty sweet. Another division rivalry matchup in the AFC North. Steelers at the Ravens.
Is it all division?
A lot of them are this week. And again, I think you mentioned because of the buys, but it's looking that way.
Could be a possibility.
The big story, though, in this game, though, it could be the week that Big Ben comes back from the knee injury, the meniscus injury that put him out for a few weeks. It's looking like it could be the week for him to come back this week. So that's the big story in this game. But usually when these two teams get together, it's either very, very competitive, or low scoring. But certainly there's players in this game you'll want to start because of, just the fact they're high capability. Of course, if Ben comes back, if he plays, you start him. I mean, if Big Ben is back at quarterback, he's a huge upgrade, of course, over Landry Jones. So if Big Ben plays, you put him in your lineup and you reap the rewards, period. But the whole offense gets an upgrade with him under center. So the obvious, of course, is Le'Veon Bell at running back and Antonio Brown at wide receiver. Those guys, you know when to put them in, set it and forget it. That's pretty much, you know that. For the Ravens, though, running back Terrence West, it looks like it's going to be his job going forward. There's no real competition from anybody else there. Kenneth Dixon does not look like he's back to full health from the knee injury yet. So Terrence West is the guy to play, so you start him going forward as well. But I'm also going to mention Sammy Coates because he has emerged as the number 2 wide receiver in Pittsburgh. And with Big Ben back in the lineup, he's going to get those targets. So he's a decent wide receiver 3 play with Big Ben back under center. Yeah. Do you want to chime in?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm just listening to you.
Okay. But
he knows more about all that than I do.
Right.
So I'm just listening.
But as for the sits, you know, Joe Flacco is normally a very solid QB2, but against the Steelers defense, even at home, I don't like the matchup. I think it's very, very tough, very risky play for this week. I think there are a lot better options out there you could use over Joe Flacco. So
Flacco.
Flacco? He's a Flacco.
Did you know that in Spanish, if you pronounce it a little differently and put a Spanish accent, instead of Flacco, it's Flaco?
Flacco.
It's fat. So his name in Spanish is Joe Fat.
Joe Fat.
Flacco.
Flacco.
It's spelled the same way, it's just pronounced a little different.
So it's Fat Joe backwards.
Yeah. Lean back.
Yeah, right. So yeah, don't like him this week. And the Ravens wide receiver, same with them. You know, when Mike Wallace is your healthiest option, you don't touch that with a 39.5-foot pole. No, thank you. So Steve Smith probably won't play because he's still battling an ankle injury. We don't know when Rashad Perriman's going to be healthy. So no, don't start them. Saints are at the Niners. Not a division game, but still an interesting NFC showdown. The Saints are trying to get back to 500 on the road, a little bit trickier, of course. And the Niners are just trying to win. I mean, at this point, they're kind of going for broke. They benched Blaine Gabbert. Colin Kaepernick is now the starter. And they're just at this point trying to win games. They're 1-6. I mean, they're at this point they are really literally
not much better.
No, they're 3-4. I mean, yeah. I mean, in the AFC South, the NFC South, everyone's chasing Atlanta because Atlanta is just so good. Yeah, they're so good. New Orleans sucks. Carolina is not Carolina anymore, and Tampa Bay is struggling. So they're all trying to catch Atlanta. So they're playing for second is really what it seems like right now. But we'll see how the Saints do on the road. But this is a good matchup for them to exploit because the Niners defense is very forgiving, and they've given up a lot this year. So here's to hoping the Saints players have a good week. The big story, though, in this one is the running back situation in New Orleans. Now, Mark Ingram, the starting running back, was benched last week for fumbling issues. So he's kind of in Sean Payton's doghouse. And he might have lost his job to Tim Hightower, who actually did very well in Ingram's absence last week. So now you're wondering, is this going to be a full-blown committee going forward? Which, as we know, for fantasy purposes, committees are very, very bad. But you hope that if Ingram is still not in a good situation, that Hightower will get more work. So he's at least a decent play for that reason. So I have his obvious starts for the Saints. Obviously, Drew Brees. You're not sitting Drew Brees normally in any circumstance unless he's playing a tough defense, which this is not. I do have Hightower here as the better start, though. I'm worried about Ingram going forward because of that situation and the fact that he has really struggled this year as well. So hopefully with Hightower, they get a boost on offense. So I have him as a start. And the wide receivers, I'm going to go with Brandon Cooks and our guy Michael Thomas. He's a rookie out of Ohio State, but boy, he has not played like it this year either. He had a run of 4 straight games in double-digit fantasy points.
Nice.
And even against Seattle last week, he had 7 fantasy points against Seattle.
Nice.
And you know how good their secondary is. Mm-hmm. So he has been really, really coming on strong for us. So I think he going forward, he's an obvious play. I think you've got to keep going with him. For the Niners, really the only obvious guy I can recommend is Carlos Hyde, the running back, if he's active. He missed last week's game with that shoulder injury. They really need him back because the running backs behind him really have struggled. Mike Davis, Sean Drone, they haven't really stepped up in his absence. So they really need Carlos Hyde back to have a good playmaker on offense. So, and I never thought I'd say this, but again, you talk about how bad the Niners defense is. The Saints defense really is kind of forgiving also. They're not really that great either.
Not anymore.
No, well, they really haven't been the last few years.
Okay.
I never thought I'd say this, but Colin Kaepernick is actually a decent play this week. You know, and you know, the Saints defense can't stop much of anything, and his running ability could end up being a factor.
Okay, yeah.
So I think at least a decent bye week filler and a low end QB2 at the very best, I think, is Kaepernick's ceiling. I would not be surprised actually if Cap hits double digits this week. I think it's certainly feasible. But other than that, the rest of the guys really are sits. I mentioned Ingram. You know, the fact that he's been either been replaced or locked in that committee timeshare with Hightower is why I don't like Ingram this week. Willie Snead at wide receiver. His targets have only gone down since he came back from his toe injury, so that is a little bit concerning. He's really not even a wide receiver 3. Very, very risky 4 at this point. And for the Niners, their wide receivers, Torrey Smith, Jeremy Curley, you know, don't get cute. You can't really rely on these guys. Torrey Smith has just not been very good this year. And Curley, his production has plummeted since Gabbert lost his starting job. Gabbert liked throwing a lot more to Curley than Kaepernick does. So I can't really recommend either of the Niners wide receivers in this matchup. Now that starts us off in the afternoon games as well. So then we're into the 4:05 afternoon, evening games as well. So another one is Panthers at the Rams. Now the Panthers bounced back nicely last week with the big win over Arizona. They won 30-20, so they got to 2-5 on the season. So that was huge from Carolina's perspective last week to get a win over a very good team. Now you're going to Los Angeles, and the Rams really maybe were fluky. You know, they started the year off 3-1. We all thought, oh my gosh, how are they leading the NFC West? Are they for real? Well, they haven't looked like it the past 3 weeks. They looked like a fluke, and now what are you doing?
Trying to put this bolt back on your desk.
Oh, did it fall out?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if it came from it or not.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you can get it back on there. That's the last thing I need, a desk falling during a live show.
Your drawer.
Yeah. But Tim the Tool Man over here. But so the Rams have hit the skids of late, and they're hoping to bounce back at home. Obvious starts for the Panthers. You're starting your big 4, which nice to see them all healthy. Cam Newton at quarterback, Jonathan Stewart at running back, Kelvin Benjamin at wide receiver, Greg Olsen at tight end. You know those guys. You know those 4. Those are set it and forget it guys as well. You put those guys in on a weekly basis as long as they are healthy. And for the Rams, it's really only running back Todd Gurley. I mean, he's really the only obvious name here that you can start on a weekly basis to get you good production. But I'm also going to mention a Rams wide receiver that I think is going to come on strong of late too, and that's Brian Quick. And I know I mentioned before that maybe Kenny Britt had been the guy to break out as the Rams' top option. Well, that didn't last long because he fell back to earth after 1 week. But actually, it's been Quick that's been getting a lot more consistency in terms of targets, in terms of points over the last few weeks this season. So he's definitely worth at least a look as a number 3 option down the road. And he certainly looks more consistent than Kenny Britt or even Tavon Austin, who is always boom or bust every single week.
You're gonna call me a dilly right now.
You're a dilly?
Yeah.
Okay. How are you a dilly?
I'm trying to get this bolt back on the drawer so it doesn't slip out. I was turning it the wrong way.
Ah.
So I was like, why isn't this thing going on? So
what is it? Lefty loosey, righty tighty? Righty tighty,
yeah,
lefty loosey?
Yeah, like now, since I'm sitting in front of it, it's either away from you.
Right. So you gotta, yeah, you're right or something. Yeah.
So it was like I was turning it away from me. Or I was turning it towards me instead of away from me. I'm like, okay.
But you can plug in Brian Quick. And really the only sit is, Case Keenum, while he's had some flashes in the pan moments, he's not really worth trusting for fantasy purposes. He just doesn't get enough yardage or stuff like that on a consistent basis.
Flash in the pan, by the way. You said flashes in the pan.
Oh, flash. Did I say flashes?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I said flash
in the pan moments. Okay. That's what I meant to say. You know what I meant to say. But it's kind of become a running gag. You can't use him at this point. Now, here's my game of the week this week, WEEK, that I think is also going to produce, along with the Thursday night games, going to produce a lot of fantasy points. I'm talking about Colts at the Packers. in the afternoon at 4:25. I think there's a lot of guys in this game that you can play that are going to put up really, really good fantasy numbers. As we know, the Colts defense is not very good, but the Packers D, has at times struggled this year and can give up a lot, especially with the secondary. It's very, very weak. I think the receivers are going to have a big day as well. So there's a lot of guys in this game that you can play and I think really reap the rewards from it. The obvious guys for the Colts, it's Andrew Luck at quarterback. It's Frank Gore at running back, who continues to do damage every single week. Now, T.Y. Hilton, the only risk with T.Y., normally, yes, he's an obvious start, but he tweaked his hamstring last week, and that's really a bugaboo for a wide receiver. So he's been limited in practice this week. Yeah, they do. No, they do, especially, again, for wide receivers and running backs. But as long as he plays, he's still a start. But if he's out, then that opens up an opportunity for, say, like a Dante Moncrief, who we have, and so that could open up more targets for him. And he looked pretty good in his first game back from the shoulder injury, had 10 fantasy points. So, and before you ask, yes, we are starting Moncrief this week.
Cool.
So, I still think he's a good play even if Hilton plays. But if Hilton's out, Moncrief becomes an immediate wide receiver 1. For the Packers, the obvious guys, Aaron Rodgers, obviously a quarterback, and Jordy Nelson, his top wide receiver. Even though Jordy had kind of a down week last week, he's still the top option there. Plus, the Packers receiving core is very banged up right now as it is, so that I think will benefit Jordy more going forward as well. But you also want to start Devontae Adams because he keeps having a knack for finding the end zone when the Packers are in the red zone. And again, the Colts secondary, nothing special. So you want to keep firing up Adams as a wide receiver 3. Certainly, though, the upside is there for him as well. And I mentioned Moncrief, found the end zone in his first game back last week. Looks no worse for wear. For now, a strong wide receiver 2 will become an immediate wide receiver 1 if Hilton is out.
No pun to DeMarcus.
DeMarcus.
Where?
Oh, where? Yeah, no worse for wear. Yeah, right. As for the sets,
joke, folks.
Yeah, I get it.
Mike is barely picking me up. I don't think because I'm looking at the U square and it's not. Am I not close enough to the mic?
No, I think you are.
That U square is like just down really, really low, but this.
Yeah. See, when you talk on that one, it goes up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I can hear you. As for the sits, the Packers running backs, until James Starks really returns fully from that knee injury, you can't trust Don Jackson. He just has not been very reliable. Plus, he had the hand issue.
A lot of sits.
Yeah, there's a lot of sits. They just released Niall Davis, and then he in turn signed with the Jets. It was only
Niall or Niles?
Niall, Knile, Niall.
Okay.
He then signed with the Jets, but then got released like one day later. So it didn't even last. Yeah, it didn't even last. So in a matter of minutes. That tells you all you need to know about the Green Bay running back situation.
Why do you sign a player to release him in a day?
I don't know. I guess they must think Niall Davis is not very good.
Sign him to a contract. You offer him this much money, whatever.
In one day.
And then you release him after one day.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So that tells you all you need to know.
Maybe something come up that
right. And I mentioned Montgomery. Look, you can't get fooled again. I mean, it's just
get fooled again.
It's just it's shady to the last minute about his status. It's just too risky. That I'm thinking this kidney illness, sickle cell thing is going to linger.
Who?
For Montgomery, for the one that we got screwed by last week. For a long time. You can't rely on that going forward on your roster. Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb normally is your reliable starting option, but he's been limited in practice with a hamstring issue. So even if he plays, he probably won't be 100%. So very much a risky wide receiver 3 at best. And Philip Dorsett, I don't want to have to keep telling you this, but in case you want to get cute, he doesn't get involved. He just doesn't get involved that much. And now with Hilton playing strong and Moncrief back, his targets are just going to go down, and he's just very much boom or bust. So he just can't be trusted for fantasy purposes. Last afternoon game is Titans at the Chargers. Very quietly, the Titans are making noise in the South. Now, you realize now they're only a game back of Houston.
Nice.
I mean, Tennessee. I mean, they are certainly in the mix. They are looking legit. With Mariota at quarterback, with Murray and Henry at running backs, and with Kendall Wright emerging at wide receiver and Tajay Sharp and the defense looking better, they are certainly in the discussion. So we cannot rule out how good Tennessee has been. San Diego is just trying to make waves in any way they can. As I mentioned, they've been hit by the injury bug this year hard, losing Allen, losing Woodhead. Their receivers now are battling knee issues, so they're banged up. Hunter Henry, their top tight end, is likely out with a knee issue, so Antonio Gates has to step in. It's been tough on San Diego this year, so they're just hoping for a big performance any way they can. But there are still a couple guys you can play in this game. For the Chargers, of course, you got to keep rolling with Phillip Rivers. I mean, he's one of the better top-tier quarterbacks in the league. So going with him. Melvin Gordon, their do-all running back at this point, kind of has to be with no third-down option. So you got to keep going with Melvin Gordon. And again, Antonio Gates will be the tight end there because Henry will likely be out with that knee issue. So you'll have to keep going with Antonio Gates. For the Titans, DeMarco Murray, there is a bit of a risk with him this week. He has been limited with a toe issue. So he is listed as question right now, so we want to monitor his status. I think it's something related to that. It's either turf toe or it's something like in the toe itself.
But stub your toe on the turf.
Right. So you want to monitor that going forward, but if he plays, you keep going with him. Kendall Wright at wide receiver has emerged now as the top option there in Tennessee, so you want to keep going with him. And Delaney Walker, again, one of the top tight ends in the NFL as well. But I think you keep starting Marcus Mariota. Look, it's starting to become repetitive, but he's taking it. But he's going to keep taking advantage of these easy matchups. The Chargers secondary is absolutely horrendous. He's going to make mincemeat of it. I mean, it's just absolutely. He's going to keep piling up points. Another great bye week filler and a high-end QB2, but certainly with the upside for more this week. And I do mention Derrick Henry at running back here. If Murray is out, if he does not play, Henry becomes an immediate RB1 because we've seen him get more touches over time. He's probably one of the safer handcuffs in the league behind Murray because we know Murray is injury-prone over the years. And Henry, even though he's a rookie at Alabama, has shown promise this year. So
out of Alabama.
Yeah.
You said rookie at Alabama.
Oh, out of. Okay.
Rookie out of Alabama.
Out of Alabama, yeah. But otherwise, a decent RB3 or flex play if Murray's still active. But if he's not, immediate RB1. As for the sits, I mentioned the Chargers wide receivers. Both Tyrell Williams and Travis Benjamin are both dealing with knee issues. And plus that Titans defense, especially their secondary, is very much improved. So I'd look elsewhere. But if they play, they're very much risky wide receiver threes at best. I'd probably prefer Williams to Benjamin because he's more consistent this year, but still a very risky play. And I mentioned Hunter Henry again, likely out with the knee issue. The Sunday night game, Broncos at the Raiders. The battle for first place in the AFC West. That is certainly going to be interesting, but from a fantasy perspective, I think the thing of it here is you're starting your Broncos and you're pretty much sitting your Raiders because the Raiders skill guy is going to be very, very risky plays against this Broncos defense. Even though the Raiders are at home, this is still the Broncos' tough defensive unit, and you don't want to take that chance. So really for the Broncos, you're starting your main guys. Trevor Siemian at quarterback. The running back, Devont Booker, he is listed as questionable right now with a shoulder issue, so again, you want to monitor that. But as long as he plays, he's a solid RB1. And then their wide receivers, Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, obvious must-start guys. You put those guys in there. But as we've mentioned many times throughout this show, you are sitting Derek Carr. I mean, as hard as that is, you have to. This secondary is going to eat him alive.
Go on the matchups, I guess, for this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough.
I don't usually say that.
Right, and yeah, Carr did put up 43 last week, but that was against Tampa Bay. Last I checked, the Broncos secondary is not Tampa Bay. Right, and so, you know, he's really can't even put him as a QB2 this week. I would find a much better option. Latavius Murray at running back, you know, again, you kind of sense this trend. Yes, at the Raiders, you know, very risky RB3 or flex at best. That front four is still very strong for Denver, so very risky play there as well. And again, I mentioned the Raiders wide receivers. You know, as tough as it is to sit Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree, Do you really want to risk playing them against Aqib Talib and Chris Harris?
Nope.
Roll the dice if
I
you
don't.
dare, but I wouldn't. And then finally, the Monday night game this week is Bills at the Seahawks at CenturyLink. Oh, that joint is going to be loud in prime time. It's going to be massive. So your obvious plays again for the Seahawks, your top four. Russell Wilson at quarterback. I'm sorry.
Like I can barely see these when you got them sitting on there.
Kristen Michael at running back, Doug Baldwin, their top wide receiver, and of course Jimmy Graham at tight end. But for the Bills, it's only if he plays. But if LaShawn McCoy is active, I think you still play him. He was limited in practice today with that nagging hamstring injury that kept him out last week. Monitor this very closely. If he plays, he's at least an RB2 or a flex. If he is out, Mike Gillislee really hasn't shown again he can handle the workload. He's still a risky RB3 if he's the guy. But if McCoy plays, you can go ahead and put him in your lineup. As for the sits, it's pretty much all the other Bills. Tyrod Taylor, while he may seem like an intriguing option, he's really not even a QB2. You know, you're going into the link, prime time, Monday Night Football. You know, where's the Tylenol? Because really he's going to need it after this game because very much is going to get banged up, I'm sure, and thrown around by that Seahawks defense. And finally,
Still the Legion of Boom.
still the Legion of Boom.
Legion. I said legend.
There's your screw up. There you go, Dilly. We've had a lot on this show. Yeah. And then but the Bills wide receivers, you know, on a weekly basis, without Sammy Watkins, they're banged up, they're unproductive. You just really can't trust them. They will be invisible against this Seahawks secondary, the Legion of Boom. Just so tricky this week. All right, and with that, guys, that is it. That is it for week 9. Thank you guys again, as always, so much for watching, for following along, the views, the subscribers. You guys are awesome. And again, last week, the FUBAR, hopefully that will not happen again. So good luck this week. Go out there and get a win in week 9. And next week, the double-digit weeks start. So we will see you then for the week 10 preview edition of the Fantasy Football Stock Report for your league, your team, your game, your home. Go ahead.
No, wait till you're done.
Okay.
I got an idea for this.
And enjoy Thursday Night Football tonight between the Falcons and the Bucks. And we will see you next week and get a win. Yes.